People seeking asylum are human beings just like you and me, and with all the same needs that we have. And it's really by chance of birth that they've found themselves in this situation.
People who come to House of Welcome, often they haven't been given support previously, or maybe they've linked in with one other service and then been referred to us. So there's not a lot of help around for people seeking asylum. The system is set up for them to fail. Even services that are government funded, there's so many restrictions and so much red tape, and it's really confusing even if you're from here. And I've worked in the sector for years, let alone someone who's just turned up to Australia, doesn't speak the language, from a completely different culture, has experienced trauma and torture from wherever they've come from. Part of why we do what we do is to help people navigate through those systems, whether it's health, education, like getting legal support.
I think it's important for people to understand the House of Welcome doesn't receive any government funding at all. We choose not to accept government funding because that means that we can advocate for our clients. But we also fill many of the gaps that exist in the systems. People seeking asylum who are recently arrived in Australia, before they can try to access any sort of government support, the House of Welcome offers accommodation, casework support, English classes, and then there's different times in that whole journey seeking protection where there will again be gaps in the system.
Volunteering at House of Welcome has broadened my mind. It's certainly helped me understand asylum seeker refugee issue more, but I've got a lot more to learn. I think as individuals and raising families, we focus in on ourselves, and naturally we want to get ahead in life, and we want what's best for our immediate families and going forward. And then if information that we're being fed, people coming to our country, presented in a certain way, the average Australian feels a bit threatened. It's really a shame, because once you meet the refugees, the asylum seekers, they're people like you and me, and they've got the same needs, wants, desires in life, want to protect their family, get ahead, and gosh, you know, if it was me and my family in some of the situations that we've come across in the House of Welcome, yes, I'd be getting my family on a boat or on a plane, whatever, and out of there in any way I could.
It's actually really difficult to get accurate statistics. My understanding is that at the moment there's about 22,700 people seeking asylum that are currently on bridging visas. So they're in a process of trying to get acknowledgement from the Australian government that they can have a protection visa. That probably doesn't cater for all the people who are recently arrived, who are in that early phase of applying for a bridging visa. There's some fairly accurate statistics on asylum seekers who have arrived by boat, but there's very few reliable statistics of those that have been arriving by plane, and they are the majority of people seeking asylum.
We always greet clients with warmth. How are you? Treat them as a person. And it's really sad, but often people who come here, they say, you're the first Australian who's actually been nice to me, and they've been here for 6 months or something. You realise that even those small things of how you treat people and how you speak to them really makes a difference to their lives and their day.
You know what, I actually saw a quote this morning. That was Audrey Hepburn, who's an icon for me. You know, we've been given two hands, one to help yourself and one to help others. There's something deeply satisfying in being able to help others, and I think because we're so privileged here in Australia, we need to give back. We need to look beyond ourselves, and it worries me sometimes that as a society, we have become quite self-focused.
But I think also it's about a sense of belonging. I think that's one of the greatest challenges that many of our clients face. And that's why the House of Welcome is so important, because for a lot of our clients, it is that sense that they belong somewhere. Our staff will often say, after many of different interventions from the House of Welcome, the clients will often reflect back and say, this felt like my first home.
There are a lot of barriers for people to be able to integrate, but also, despite that, many of them do. You know, they're so resilient, so they're able to kind of overcome those barriers to be able to contribute to the local community. And we've had one of our clients get an award from their local MP for their contribution to the community, despite the amount of adversity that family have faced here in Australia.
There's a lack of knowledge in Australian society about asylum seekers, and the wonderful, enrichment that they bring to our country. I think of refugees over the years. I think about the Chinese, I think about the Vietnamese, I think about the Lebanese, the Greeks. You know, my father used to talk about the refos, the Italians and the Greeks that came after the Second World War. They're so much a part of our identity and our community now. So hardworking, and they've brought such colour and diversity to our community that we all enjoy now. Can't we see that this new wave of people coming will also add to that depth and strength of our Australian community? Yeah, that's sort of sums up what I feel.